Okay, our last video is problem 11, and here we're being asked some various statistics basically about the clocks. What's the average price of average price of all clocks in the inventory? How many clocks are in the inventory? What's the value of the entire inventory? What we're being asked to use here are the aggregate functions. These are built-in functions. They're called the aggregate functions, and they allow us to easily get this type of data from a table or data set. So what we'll do is we'll just create a brand new query here. I mean, this is the old one. Oh, this is the one with the calculated field. Okay, so let's just add this. Now, basically, you may be tempted to grab everything and put it down there because that's what we've been doing all along, but we're really only asked, let's just take these one by one. What's the average clock price in the inventory? We're being asked a very specific question when there's only one answer, and that answer is just one number. What is the average price of the clocks? And so I'm going to take just the price field, okay? And then what I'm going to do is, this is an easy step to miss, but you can't proceed without doing this. Up here we have our Greek letter sigma on the ribbon. I'm in the design tab, by the way. You should probably already be there when you begin the query design. But if you click your Greek letter sigma, watch the grid as I click this button here. Okay, we have a new row in here. It's the total row. And what I'm going to do is click here where it says group by, and now I have a drop down arrow. I'm going to pull that down and choose AVG. That is the average function. That's a built-in function that will allow me to get the average on this particular column, which is the price column, which is exactly what we're being asked. So let me go ahead and run that. And the average price of the entire inventory is $553. So if we averaged all the prices of all the clocks that are being sold, it would be $553.25. And you know, don't let the result throw you. When you use your aggregate functions, this is basically what you're going to get as a result. It's not like a typical query where you're, looking for German clocks or clocks under $500 or whatever. Then you get a list of things. I think the students become accustomed to seeing a list of things, and then they run a query like this and they think something's gone wrong. But think about what you've been asked. You've been asked what's the average price, and we've computed it. So this is absolutely correct if being confronted with a problem like this. So we'll go back to the design. Let's look at problem 11b. How many clocks are in the inventory? Not surprisingly, there's an aggregate function to determine this. So here we can basically, I'll create a new column here. We'll just piggyback onto this query. So we'll have the average, and then we'll have the number of clocks. That we'll use the count aggregate function for that. And then I think we're being asked for the sum total, and we'll use the sum here. But anyway, basically I have to count the number of clocks in the inventory. And you can, when you're using the count aggregate function, it's going to be the count. You basically can just, it's eeny, meeny, miny, mo when you're picking the fields to add to the grid. Any one of these fields that I count, if I count the clock name, for example, it's literally going to count the number of rows, and it'll come up with 20. If I count the clock ID, it's going to count the number of rows, the number of IDs, and come up with 20. If I count the movement, it's going to count the number of rows and come up with 20. So it doesn't matter which field we're counting. All of them are going to give us 20 in this case. So let's just go ahead and grab the clock ID. I don't know what happened there. Okay, and then choose my count aggregate function. Let's run it real quick. Okay, and we have 20 clocks, which we were expecting. All right, one more here. We have what is the retail value of the entire inventory. So what we want to get really is a sum of the prices of all the clocks. So there is, of course, an aggregate function for that. It's the sum function, and we're going to sum up all of the prices. So let's do it. chose the sum from the drop-down. Once again, don't forget that Greek letter sigma. When you're designing your query, you won't see the total row unless you take that step in hitting that button first. So, and you only have to do it once, then you get the total row. So the total value of the inventory is over $11,000. And those are your aggregate functions.